A celebratory night in downtown Phoenix. Saturday night, March 2nd, 3-2. Celebrating Amari Stoudemire finally going into the Ring of Honor. Standing tall and talented. A halftime ceremony to elect one of the greatest Suns and most ferocious dunkers into their Ring of Honor. About time. I think we can all agree. Unfortunately, these Suns, the 2023-2024 Suns, did not stand tall, did not stand talented. Matthew, for the second time in just over a week, they lose to the Houston Rockets. And this one's a little bit more devastating than the one before it, as Yusuf Nurkic and Devin Booker both leave injured.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, the way they came out tonight, it just looked bad. Even from the start, like beginning pregame, shoot around, there's a different kind of atmosphere out here. Like when Marion was retired, that whole day was like such a celebration. There was just an eerie feeling here tonight. When Book came out, he looked grumpy as hell. KD couldn't get a shot to go down, really. It just didn't feel right. And of course, like you said, with Nurk getting hurt with the neck spasms, with what happened to Book, and then Beal getting ejected, it's like, what the fuck? I think, I forget who put it on Twitter, but this is probably the worst game that I've ever been to, especially on a Saturday night. You know, I should be out celebrating and drinking with everybody, right? On a Saturday night. Is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
I think so. I think that's how it goes. And yeah, it's a Saturday night. The Suns go down 19 points in the first quarter, 38-19 right out of the gate. And it's an instant deflation. And it kind of feels like it's a rite of passage for anybody who joins the Ring of Honor. If you join the Ring of Honor for the Phoenix Suns, the team will let you down. Did it on the night that they played or put Sean Marion into the Ring of Honor, and again here tonight. So just an unfortunate loss that we're going to break down here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, click the thumbs up button. Welcome to your therapy session, Jamsters. We're here for you. So Matthew's obviously, he's down there at the Footprint Center. You can give us all the skinny of all of what was going on around Amari Stoudemire being inducted into the Suns Ring of Honor. I'm excited to hear who was in the arena and who you got to see. But obviously, we're going to have to talk about this shit game, too. So crack them if you got them, Suns fans. You can follow me at Darth Void. You can follow him at Matthew Lissy, and you can follow the show at Suns Jam and read my writing on brightsideofthesun.com. So without further ado, let's drop that beat. 118 to 109. Phoenix Suns lose at the hands of the Houston Rockets, a team that entered on a 9-game road losing streak, a team with the second worst record in the NBA on the road, and the Phoenix Suns lose to them. So brings me my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I gotta ask, why? Just why?
Man, you know, I was actually not watching when it happened. Something that we never want to see happen to any of our stars or any of our players, let alone Book. But, you know, I had to see the replay because I had my head down. I was finishing up the Amari Stoudemire recap of the night, and I heard next to me, "Oh, my God." And everyone in the crowd started to leave after the "oh my God." They started to hit the exits because Booker went down, and I was like, this is it. Him getting up and limping off the court the way he did, I felt so bad for him, man. You know, I really do. You know, I think that we've always felt bad for Beal and his injuries and stuff, but this season really comes down to obviously the last 23 games, 24 games of these guys getting together and getting things straight. With Beal being back, you're like, okay, well, here we go. This is a good start, right? We can maybe cream, or I don't know if you want to say cream, but kill the Rockets, put them away easily. Didn't start out that way, but then with Booker going down and Beal being ejected and Kevin Durant left out there when he's just in a slump, this is just not where you want to be right now as a Suns fan or a Suns organization, right?
Yeah, and even before that, I mean, Booker goes down and leaves with the injury with under 2 minutes left in this game. And at that point in the game, when he essentially was guarding, I think it was Jalen Green, after the Suns unfortunately once again gave up an offensive rebound that allowed another possession at a key point in the game. He was guarding Jalen Green and he was backing up and he twisted his ankle, stepping on the ankle of Royce O'Neal. So just avoidable in every sense of the word. But also, when Devin Booker goes down and has to leave the game, the Suns are down by I think 6 at that point, with under 2, or maybe it was 8 at that point, and it was over. It was over, and it started from the beginning of this game. And there's one phrase that came to mind, and it was at the beginning of the year when Frank Vogel took the reins of the Suns, and he said, "We're going to play and we're going to be scrappy as hell." That's the culture that he wanted to infuse into the Valley, a scrappy culture. The Suns aren't scrappy in any sense of the word. The Rockets are a scrappy team. We've seen this team 3 out of our last 4 games. And the best way to describe them, in my opinion, is that way, is scrappy. They're a team that is going to pressure you on defense, be physical, bump you off your spots. Do they get called for fouls? Yeah. But it's as Eddie Johnson said on the broadcast today, the thought process of head coach Emi Adoka is you can't call every foul. So we will hand check. We will push you off your spot. We will play with that edge, that scrappy edge, if you will. The Suns don't have an edge to them. And it's been a problem throughout the entire season. And now, again, going into the hardest schedule remaining, we finally get Bradley Beal back. And then Nurkic goes out due to friendly fire. And Devin Booker goes out due to friendly fire. Nothing's aligning. Nothing's coming together for this team. And you add to the fact that they don't play with an edge or any scrappiness. And the hope meter, if you were to have a hope meter, it's starting to go in from green to red pretty quick, Matthew.
Yeah, but even with Beal coming back, my hope for this team wasn't very high. I don't feel it, obviously. I mean, last game, the way they almost flew that game was pretty sad. The way they came out firing with the first quarter, Book was there, but then letting up the lead basically towards the end of the game where it made it a close game, that was really hard to watch. So you're always thinking with this team, you're like, what are they going to really pick it up? Are they going to find that juice that they need? Like, can they just turn it on? Obviously not if they're missing players, but even going into tonight, it just kind of looked like it was chaos again. But with a guy returning in Beal, you kind of feel like it would be. But what is this arena built on? Like, what sacred burial ground is this arena built on? Like, it has to be something like that. It has to be. There's no other explanation. Just because it's like we finally got these guys to come to Phoenix, these superstars. Not saying I'm a big fan of Beal yet because I haven't seen anything consistent yet. But it's like we have the team that we've always wanted, right? To win a championship and just pulled apart. Every chance that these demons, these ghosts have a chance to really just throw their bad juju at the Suns, they're doing it. And I'm kind of sick of it and fed of it. We got to get some priests in here, something to throw some oil, or not oil, some holy water around, right?
Have them put some oil and then just light the whole place on fire and then rebuild somewhere else, because that's essentially what you're going to have to do to exorcise the demons. We need Kyrie Irving there going around burning incense throughout the arena or something to help get rid of the demons that the Phoenix Suns carry with them, because I feel your pain. And I think that all Phoenix Suns fans do, especially on a night like tonight where it's Saturday night. We're all excited to see what Phoenix can do and extend their winning streak to 3, knowing that Oklahoma City comes to town tomorrow and the rough stretch really ramps up after tonight. I mean, you look at the Suns' schedule coming out of the All-Star break, and you're like, okay, we have Dallas, and then we've got Houston, and then we've got LA, and then we've got Houston, and then it gets tough. Then we have OKC, then we have Toronto, then we have Boston, and then we have to play Boston again a couple games later, and then there's the Bucks, and it just gets harder and harder. It's like going through Mortal Kombat, and you're going level up, and you're just like, you're trying to get to the guy, whatever, I forget his name, and I know one of the Jamesters will correct me. The guy with like 8 arms. Yes.
Goran Dragic.
Yeah, and you're just trying to get to him at the very end. And the Suns, like, for some reason, they're leveling up, but they're losing every time they level up. Every time we get to another level, like, we lose something else and we lose something else. It's just it's unfortunate to see. It's depressing as a Suns fan because you've allowed yourself to get invested again and hyped. And one of the most frustrating things for me is on consecutive nights, or in consecutive games, we've watched an opposing player just outplay all of our big three. Jalen Green on Thursday night and Jalen Green tonight. He had 35, I believe, on Thursday night. He had 34 tonight. And at will was going out there and scoring when he wanted to, hitting big 3-pointers. His ability to get under Bradley Beal's skin just enough got Bradley Beal ejected in this game. And it's something that I did when I wrote the preview and obviously the post game for Bright Side of the Sun. And there's one section that we always have in there, and it's a key to the Suns' victory. And my one word was composure. You have to stay composed tonight because this is a team. It's like a playoff series. You've played this team 3 out of 4 games. So there's little nuances of the game. There's that one guy who's out there and he just sets hard screens on you every time. And you know what? You might be fed up with it after 3 times in 4 games, and you might push back a little bit. And Bradley Beal didn't really have that because he's been out the last 2 games against this team, but goes out there tonight, lets Jalen Green get under his skin on an inbound pass. Jalen pushes him, and then he pushes him right in the face, and he's gone. And it's unfortunate because Beal was one of the efficient offensive players tonight before he was tossed in the third quarter. And based on the way that the Suns had some runs in them, we definitely could have used him. But he was uncomposed, and the scrappiness of the Rockets won out again.
Yeah, it kind of started when Draymond Green was going after Nurkic, when they were going back and forth in that whole scuffle thing. The last game they played where Nurk kind of fed into it, Nurk was like going hard at him, doing the too small, slapping the floor. Yeah. It was fun at the time, but it took him out of the game. Like, he just could not respond after that was happening. And you can even see like Draymond Green and Chris Paul on the sideline just sitting there like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He can't match that. That's Draymond's game, right? But we've always seen the Suns, especially Devin Booker, get too into it, too into his own head. And he's been better of that of late. The last few years, he really has. But the Suns, especially with like a young team in the Rockets, it just doesn't look good to me. Even like the fight with Book and Cam, like, it's cool when they talk about it. That's part of the game. That's part of them. The competition. It's nice to see. It's okay, but this Rockets team shouldn't even deserve that. I don't know if that's rude for me to say, but I really obviously think that the Suns are a better team. Well, now without all of our stars playing, we didn't have the team to finish that should have beat the Rockets. But we're not that kind of team. We should be beyond that. We should be focused on that. We should just be taking care of business, right? We used to say that all the time on the pod. I don't know if it's been a while, right? The
TCOB.
TCOB tonight, but it wasn't a thing because they did get in their own head. And I know Beal was, he was going off in the third and stuff like that. But like Beal, Booker, and of course Kevin Durant going through a slump, they're just not them yet. And I know Beal's been out, but they're just not there yet. So they need to focus on that, getting back to who they were before the All-Star break when they went on that winning streak. Get back to that. Then I guess you can toy around with these teams. But they losing to this team by 20 points at one time in the first quarter, first half. It's just you can't like egg this team on because it's going to end up in the way it did tonight.
Tired of defending it. That's one of my biggest challenges is when you have conversations, whether it's with friends or coworkers or on social media, and it's easy to be negative. We all know that. And a lot of people are drawn instantly to the negativity, and that's where they'll go. And that's the block that they live on is negativity lane. But this feeds the flames. And I can sit there and although I don't think that this is a championship team, I think that this is a team that has the potential to make a deep playoff run. And I'm tired of defending that because I'm not even sure of that anymore. I mean, I can totally see a second round exit from this team because of a lot of the issues that we've seen as of late. A team that just, again, lacks scrappiness, lacks tenacity, lacks effort, lacks the ability to defend. thinks that they can turn it on, thinks because you have a big three for some reason. And that's obviously an outside observation versus their actual thoughts. They don't sit around and go, dude, we could turn it on whenever we want, right? Like, yeah. But it appears that way because that's the way that they play, is they just take possessions and stretches of the game off. I mean, that first quarter was abysmal. And part of that is because they couldn't hit the three ball. They were 1 of 7, I think, from 3 in the first quarter. Part of it's because they don't rebound well, and it was one and done possessions. And then part of it is they have a hard time defending quick teams. And when you play that way, you're going to let the Rockets do what they like to do, and that's get out and run. And that's what they did. And they ran the Suns off the court in that first quarter, 38-19. They allowed 38 points in the first quarter of the fucking Rockets. Like, yeah, they fought back and they got within 1 point. It was 99-98. Okay. And then the Rockets closed the game on like a 19-10 run and win by 9, right? We never should have been in the game period just because of the lack of effort in the first quarter. And it's like the sheer lack of focus, or the sheer thinking that an opposing team like a hungry Rockets team is just going to come out and not be aggressive or not play physical, which they have over the last few meetings. And again, it's just this, I'm tired of defending the way that this team plays night in and night out, because they can go out and for stretches, they can look like an unstoppable team with this amazing offense and at times a locked-in defense. And then they lose boneheaded games like 2 to the Spurs early in the season. We've lost now 2 to the Rockets. You go down the line and you look at some of the teams in the NBA that they've lost to, and it gets kind of ridiculous. Losing to the Nets, which is an 11 seed. They've done that. Portland. I mean, it's embarrassing the way that the Suns have put themselves in this precarious situation moving forward, because with this loss, obviously they dropped from the 5 to the 6 seed. They're now 35-25. They're they're a half game above the Kings for the play-in, and the Lakers are the 10th seed, and they're 3 games behind the Suns. And again, going into literally the hardest schedule left in the NBA, this team is a play-in team. And here it is. It's March 2nd. I'm going to remember myself saying this, Amari Stoudemire Day. I think that this team's a play-in team. I don't see how they maintain and get a 6th or a 5th seed. Do you?
No, absolutely not. And not even like the Booker thing, of course, sets that back, and you don't believe in this team to really kind of move up in the standings now, just because the way it looked and the way he hobbled off, it's going to be a week or two, and that's going to kill the Suns, because it's all about, if you're gonna fall into the play-in, it's fine. Maybe you can get some juice from that, but the teams you're going to have to face, like we're going to face tomorrow night, Oklahoma City, and the Denver Nuggets, or even the Wolves, teams that are really gelling, that are just another level than the Phoenix Suns. Even if the Suns had a couple weeks with this team in full strength, health, you might see some glimpses. But there are just some characteristics with this team, especially with Beal, where it just doesn't rub me the right way. Of course, I always go off my feelings, and I don't really back it up with stats. In the third quarter, of course, he kind of went off, and he kind of led his team back into things until Book got back. But there's just something with him and his attitude with the game. And I know he's been hurt and stuff, but it's something on the floor with him being physical. It's not leading to plus plays. I just feel like his physical play, getting to the rim and stuff, it's cool, but he has the hardest time finishing. So I just feel like based on that, with him not being able to finish, it's like there's like that hope in me. I'm like, okay, maybe he can turn it on to where he can get to the rim and finish and get those fouls and ones that can help turn these games around to where he can take over and get the Suns going on runs. Like, that's what you want to look forward to. And the whole Suns team, I'm looking at it the same way. It's like that hope. It's like, can they actually turn on? Can we count on Kevin Durant? Can we count on Booker to stay healthy? Can we count on what we found in Bol to where he can contribute in games where tonight he should have probably been even more dominant, but he wasn't? Like, there's so many questions around the whole Suns team that you hope that they get turned on in a way. And it goes back to when, like, I was a Cowboys fan, and every playoffs I'd be like, you know what, not even recently, but before, I'd be like, can they turn it on? Like, can they just flip a switch? Like, no, they are who they are. They're not that good of a team. And I think we're finding out, like, who the Suns actually are. And, of course, the injuries suck, but even before that happened, even before Beal getting thrown out, I felt that way walking into the arena. I'm like, this team is just not it. And I don't know if they can possibly turn it on. And I'm not here to actually sit here and hope for it. I just kind of believe this is it, and I think it's gonna be a lost season, and it sucks. And just really quick, the 2-year window a lot of us are throwing around to where the Suns have 2 years. That's fine, but what are we supposed to do this offseason? And that's where I'm already looking at is the offseason, because this is how bad this team is looking.
Yeah, and I know that there's not a lot of outs because like Bradley Beal has no trade clause. Because in my head, that's the obvious move that Phoenix can make this offseason is you trade Beal for the sum of the parts and try to fortify your roster with some quality players instead of somebody who just doesn't play, or when he does, he gets ejected. And obviously, I'm being extra harsh tonight because I, like many of you who are watching or listening, I'm really frustrated. Again, I sacrificed my Saturday night for this shit. Like, come on, guys. Like, I'm excited. It's stat night, like I'm wearing my Amari gear. I'm remembering all the great memories that we had with that team that broke our hearts. But I don't remember, at least during those Steve Nash runs, being concerned about the regular season like I have with this Phoenix team the past 2 seasons. And that's where I found myself as I was watching the highlights and seeing him dunk over Oluwa Candy and, from Stephon Marbury passing him the ball to Steve Nash and seeing some of the old Sun players out there. I was thinking back to what it was like to be a Suns fan, which is nearly 20 years ago. You think about it, next season, the 24-25 season is 20 years since the 7 seconds or less was born. That was the 04-05 season. And I remember that once that team came together and opened the season 31-4, for the next 3 or 4 years, you knew we were winning 50-plus games every season. The challenge wasn't the regular season. The challenge was the playoffs and the matchups you knew you were going to have to face. And with this Suns iteration, it's surviving the regular season last year and this year, where the inconsistencies, obviously the injury issues that they've had over both seasons now, but that has been the issue to where they don't put together those dominant stretches of basketball like the old Suns used to do. And as a fan, I'm going to compare the two. As players on the team, they're not going to look, think, or act in any way about that. They just got to go out and try to win the next game and try to win the next game. But it makes it frustrating. And again, something I'm tired of defending because they don't have a consistent, dominant gene in them. And then, as you mentioned, I'm talking about all this taken in tonight's game, and then at the very end, Booker gets hurt. Like that is just the diarrhea on top of the shit sandwich that we had to eat tonight. Was after Nurkic goes out, and they said neck spasms. He got hit in the face by Josh Okogie as they were both kind of going for a rebound. Stayed down on the court. Suns had a 4-on-5 possession where they had 4. The Rockets had 5. Didn't convert, and finally he came off, went right to the locker room, didn't come back in the second half. Bradley Beal gets ejected in the third quarter, but then the way that Devin Booker goes down and you see him tweak that ankle, you're just like, great, like you said, Matthew, great. This is going to be 2 more weeks. Like we just get Beal back. It's like, tag, you're it now. You're going to be out for the next 2 weeks, and we're going to, which is 4, 5, 6 games, and there's just not enough time. That's my frustration. There's not enough time. We've been playing this game all season long. It's the same game we played last season, isn't it, dude? Where it's like, okay, if they just get a little bit more time together, it's going to start to they just got to get a little bit more time together. And then, like tonight, we're sitting there, and the only hope that we have for this team to win is if 2 of your stars just go off because no one else can assist, right? Just like the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like that. And even like you were talking, comparing the 2 Suns like 20 years ago to now, like, yeah, they were dominant. And like, even when we went on our win streak, the fourth quarter was an issue. So we've always had our issues, and we can never show up to where we're just like, oh, this is it, right? I think maybe there was a couple games here and there this season, but it's just not the case where it's consistent. And it's okay. Like, it's the NBA. There are injuries, right? Players are going to miss games. But we haven't had this team together for the 2 or 3 years that a lot of these other teams have had, right? I mean, in the West, like the Thunder, the Wolves, they've been together for a while, man. Like those teams, they know each other, right? The Nuggets, that's what we just don't have. Like we have so many new moving parts where it's just going to make it so difficult. We have to really speed up the pace when these guys get back. And it's hard to be so negative because you should be appreciative, of course, of the players on the floor and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it's all about winning. It's all about we just want a championship. And I mentioned a couple pods ago where I'm like, it gets to a point where it's even like, and I don't ever want to do it, is like, is he going to have to be traded for this team to win? Like, it's even to that point where it's just like, I don't care what has to happen. They have to make this work in some way. But then, of course, the injuries happen. And it doesn't matter because if the injuries happen, this team and Matt Ishbia, they're looking at it like, well, I know it happened, but we still don't look like a team that can win a championship based on what was on the floor, right? And I don't know, man. It's just all over the place, kind of like tonight's game. That's where my mind's at.
I'm with you too, and it's going to be interesting moving forward. That's all I got to really say about it. I'm not like I'll tell you, Jamsters, right now, ain't going to be an hour pod tonight. I just don't have it in me tonight. You know, I want to talk a little bit about Amari's.
No drops tonight. As soon as we hit the 10-minute mark and there was only the one drop, I'm like, it'll be a short night tonight. Boss over here.
It's a no drop night. It's a no drop night. No one did drop tonight. Early. Yeah, there you go. But tell me about Amari's induction into the Suns Ring of Honor. Obviously, this one happened at halftime versus post game. The reason it happened post game for Shawn Marion was due to the fact that it was a nationally televised game, which was stupid. They should have done it at halftime. So tell me about what it was like in the arena before the game, during halftime, and whatnot.
You know what? Honestly, so I'm gonna be truthful here. All right. I like Shawn Marion's better. I liked after the game. I know the fans left, but I mean half the fans left. But other than that, like the whole experience was better. It was like a party. Like backstage, everyone was hanging out. Shawn Marion was here early. He did the pregame press conference. It just got things really going. They lost that night. Of course, the fans were booing the Suns. But the whole actual ceremony, I liked it after. I did. I think at halftime it was nice. But it's so short. Like, it's just so short. Everyone's kind of rushing things. Steve Nash comes up. I want to hear him joking around for about 5 minutes about shit. I do. I want to hear some things about him and Stat going back to their days here in Phoenix. It's just so quick. I liked how when Marion did his, he had some time where he just couldn't hold in the tears, so he had to walk around for a while. Like, I liked it. It was more emotional. It was nice. I enjoyed it better. It was nice with Amari here, but I didn't really feel it tonight, man. I mean, it was about the same. The same stars are the same old Suns legends that were here from Marion's. Were here for Amari's. I didn't get to run into Steve Nash or anybody, obviously, but it just was kind of different. It just kind of felt like, and this is not really correlating with what I'm writing for Brightside for tomorrow, but I didn't. So I guess I'm a liar. I'm a fucking dirty, filthy liar.
You liar.
Where it just didn't feel like it tonight, and it wasn't just my mood right now. It's in a fine mood tonight. It just you couldn't feel it. Kind of felt separated, but it was good to see everyone here. Number 32 is finally retired, well earned, well deserved. Yes. Good to see Amari down there saying his thanks to the fans, thanks to God, thanks to everyone that helped him out, and it's just cool to have him back in the house. I know he was here last game, but him being here tonight and just be around it was cool. It just was. I liked Marion tonight better. So.
Well. Where does Stat fall for you with the old Suns big three, the 7 seconds or less Suns? Like, how do you rank your favorites?
Oh, okay. So Steve Nash, Amari, and then Shawn Marion.
Like, yeah. I was thinking about this. And I'm like, man, that's tough because I loved Shawn Marion. I love Steve Nash, but I loved having Stat too, man, because Stat was the first guy in the 2K era. Right, because NBA 2K came out in 2K, had Allen Iverson on it, and it was by 2K3 or 2K4, whatever game it was, where you could finally play like with Amari Stoudemire when he was a rookie. And man, I just remember 2003 is when I went into the military, and I remember I was supposed to go to the military on like a Friday, and like go down to MEPS downtown, and then they put you on a plane, they send you off to basic training. And I went down there, they're like, "Hey, we moved everything. You're actually going to go on Monday." So I had like one last weekend at home. And I'd already said goodbye to everybody. I'd already planned to leave. So it's not like I was like, "Hey guys, I'm still here." So I literally just like sat at my mom's house for 2 days and just played NBA 2K. And I just played with Amari Stoudemire and Stephon Marbury and just ran that pick and roll play over and over again. He was so much fun to play with on NBA 2K. And
he was the best player to play with.
He was, especially around the rim.
Yeah.
And so I think back and I go, you know what? I think if I was to rank them, it'd probably go Marion, Stat, Nash for me. You know, and it's not like me saying Nash is my third favorite 7 seconds or less Sun takes away from my affection and gratefulness that I had for Steve Nash. but I just feel like I liked the other two players more. They were around before. I know that we drafted Nash, but he didn't, he came back as an all-star. But it was great to, as you mentioned, well-deserved. Great win for Matt Ishbia, putting him again in the Ring of Honor, just like Sean Marion, the way it should be. Like when you look up at those banners that are right behind you, and our logo is actually covering up. There we go. You can see right behind Matthew. Now you can see number 32 is up in the rafters behind him now. It's like 24, 31, 32, 33, 34. Like if you want to wear the number 30, and then Kevin Durant's number 35. So, I mean, if we win a championship, we'll put his number up there because he'll be a part of that. But it ain't going to be this year, Suns fans. Tough shit. God, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, we flip-flop. That's what we do. So
yeah,
we'll be back. We'll have a chance. There'll be a pod in the future where we'll believe in this team. It's going to happen.
This is
and then we'll be back here, and then we'll be back up.
This is definitely a reactionary podcast.
It always is, though. It has to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. We go live after every game.
Yeah, I know, but
we're fans.
We've been through the losses where we're just like, it's okay, that loss. It was an okay loss. And that would lead to even more disastrous losses, would be even more upset.
Well, tomorrow's going to be an OKC loss, I'll tell you that. So were you hanging out on the subreddit for Houston tonight?
I was.
Oh, God.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Matthew was in Houston tonight, and even at the arena. God, I hope security kicks you out.
Oh my God! Let me just let me just do this really quick because they're gonna kick me out. I was, Mari's backstage, just like hitting on me. I was like, oh, come on, I got work to do. I got to be a subreddit. I got to be at the Reddit for Houston Rockets. So let me just do this really quick before anybody sees me, okay? Just no comments. Let me get through it because I'm going to be embarrassed as hell. Bradley Beal, Maddie got 0 major career accolades. There's a lot of hate tonight for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Suns are a bunch of cunts, man. That one goes off down to the Australians. I know. I didn't even want to say it because I don't like that word. Katie might unironically be the least bitch-made Suns starter, which is crazy to say. Booker is a bitch. Phoenix is a brothel. I don't know what that means, but I love that. So Bill's gonna get his nose broken again if he's not careful. And Luka's son is getting schooled by Cam, and that goes to Booker. So that's all subreddit. I don't with people walking by. So if you
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Yeah, that was worth it. That was 100% worth it.
It was. I'll get more comfortable as we go along. Some jamsters, all right.
So, were the people looking at you as you were walking, or they were walking by?
They're walking that way, so they're not looking in this way. But I'm like, you know what? If they take a peek, they'll be like, "What the fuck is going on over there?
Like, what the hell's that guy doing?"
Put your hands up, man.
What else do you want to talk about relative to this game tonight, Matthew?
Let me take a look. Anything worth it? I don't even know. I think Royce had a really good game, but I think that tech he had, I don't know if it was deserved or not, but that kind of turned that run around. So, Royce, good game tonight. Okogie's there. I mean, I think with Nurk being out, it's huge. And then you have Grayson Allen that just can't fill the stat sheet tonight. What are you going to do? That's when we lose, right? When Nurk's not playing. So 0 for 5 now.
Yeah, I agree. Royce, he was the game changer. He had 20 points off the bench. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. And I got to say, Grayson, off game, I did see a little slander relative to Grayson in the chat, and that's okay. I get it. When you go 0 for 7 from the field and 0 for 6 from beyond the arc, you're going to catch some bullets and some strays. And you know what? For all the great games he's had, I'm not going to put this one on him. I put this one pure and utterly on the lack of the Suns' ability to stay focused, to be scrappy, to play at the level of the Rockets, which just fucking sounds weird, to play at the Rockets level, to not turn the ball over. I think it was 19 turnovers or some shit tonight. It's just like same old Suns, man. They just shoot themselves in the foot. They're one of the most turnover heavy teams, and like you just can't win that way. They allowed, or they only shot 31% from beyond the arc. I mean, and an interesting stat. It's something I'm going to be delving into probably later tonight. The Suns were outshot again tonight. Like the Rockets had 96 field goal attempts, and the Suns had 85. And it's just kind of, I feel like it's a continual thing where the Suns don't, like, the opposition just has more field goal attempts than Phoenix does. You know, you look at their averages, and the Suns average the 27th most field goal attempts in the league. And when you turn the ball over the way that they do, they're 26th in turnovers. It's not a recipe for continual success. And I just don't know. It's like I said, I'm just grumpy tonight on this one. This one just makes me kind of grumpy. And I'm sorry, Jamsters. I know I'm normally a little bit more chipper, but this one was just a kick right in the balls. Like, down 19 in the first quarter, you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, we got OKC tomorrow. And trap game, whatever. If this is a trap game, be better. Be better than the Suns. Be better.
Well, who's even going to be on the floor? Like, for the Suns tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow, now nobody. But, like, tonight, it's, if you want to say it's a trap game or that this team is thinking ahead or what have you, like, you got to be better, man. Like, go out there and fucking win some fucking basketball games. Yeah, you're 35-25. You won 10 more, than you've lost. And I get it. And the ups and downs of a regular season, I get it. I know all that stuff. I watch basketball every year. But the inconsistencies I see, it's ridiculous to me. It's just I don't see it, and gosh, I want to see it so bad.
I don't feel it, and I got to tell you, dude. When Book came out for shoot around, Rex Chapman went up to him right away because Googs was sitting sideline, and it was good to see Googs. It's so crazy. Like, I remember when I was like 9 years old, I went to GameWorks to go play some games, and he was there with his kid. Here I am at the game taking a piss next to him. What the hell's going on? This doesn't make any sense. And
dreams come true.
Ever. And so, with the basketball players, when they're next to you, it's like, I don't want them. Did
you hold it for him?
No, I just gave him.
It's like right there.
Yeah, I'm like, selfie time, Googs. So I don't even. But so Booker came out. Rex Chapman went to him, and I was watching it. He was telling everybody, like, Katie came over to say hi to Googs. But he was going over to them before and be like, hey, can you come over and take a picture with Googs and the kids? And Book was just not having it today. He was grumpy as fuck coming out the tunnel. He was like, who? He's like, what? Who? He's like, yeah, it's fine. And he just was like pissed off, man. Like, usually when Book, he's like grooving when he's coming out. You know what I mean? Smiling, saying hi to the kids.
Yeah.
Some with the Jenners, dude. All right. But I just had to throw that out there, peeing next to these stars, Rex Chapman and Googs. Life is good.
Yeah. Deep sound when urine hits the water in the toilet.
Jam star of the game.
Matthew, who do you give the answer to?
I'm gonna give it to Royce O'Neal. I guess for having Book step on him or whatever happened.
I'll give it to KD tonight. I thought he had a really good game. Ended with 30 total points. He was 11 of 19 from the field, or 12 of 19 from the field. First time I've seen him have an efficient shooting night in quite some time. 9 rebounds, 2 assists. The 6 turnovers were fucking ugly. But that's just part of the game with Kevin Durant is we're going to get the turnovers, and it's just part of his game. And it's one thing we just kind of have to accept, but it makes it frustrating. But yeah, he was, only 1 of 4 from beyond the arc, but God, Royce O'Neal's a good choice. 20 and 10 again off the bench. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm changing mine. Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, Royce O'Neal killed it. I mean, he absolutely came in and started like 2 runs to get back in the game. And it's such a bad game, and we're just sitting here, and we're ending the pod early tonight, and then everyone in the chat's talking about farting. I guess there's people farting.
It happens.
Talking about don't say I farted. So I mean, this is how bad it's getting. Jam Session podcast after the game.
Rolls Royce will get his drop here.
Yeah, bling bling bling. Rolls Royce, yeah, nigga, Rolls Royce.
He earned it. He earned it on that. Jamsters will be coming to you live tomorrow, right after the game. Hopefully, it's Well, I think the difference between today and tomorrow is I know we're going to lose tomorrow. So it's like I'll be in a different point of view and we'll just sit around and talk about how great OKC is because I don't see us competing in that game. And anyway, if we can't fucking beat the Rockets, how the fuck are we going to go out there down 2 starters and beat the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder? I don't see it happening. Do you, Matthew?
I see Bobo and Chet going head to head. I want to see that. I want to see what that looks like. Yeah, that's what I look forward to every time. Like if we go into the rest of the season where we're gonna have games like this with injuries, I just want to see the length and Bobo take on whoever they have on the other side. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Chet v. Bol. Tune in tomorrow to the Suns game. Tune into the therapy session after right here. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. You can follow me at Darth Void and read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew and also read his writing at Bright Side of the Sun. You can follow the Suns Jam Session podcast at Suns Jam, wherever you want to follow things. Do that. So, Matthew, tell everyone what they can do.
Go home and love your dudes.